there's nothing you're going to do to alleviate it. So I just chose to accept it and move along in a path that's going to set me up for the greatest amount of success.
What is up, everybody? And welcome back to the Schooling Struggle Podcast. It is our belief that the only guarantee in life is that we are all going to struggle, and how we choose to embrace our struggles is what empowers us to become the best versions of ourselves. How's it going? My name is Pete, coming to you from Heartland, Vermont, and with me is my long-lost friend and podcast co-host, Mr. Todd Ellis. What's up, Todd?
Mr. Driscoll, how does it go?
Oh, man.
It's been a while, huh?
We have so much to catch up on. We have not recorded in about 7 weeks.
Has it been that long? Wow.
Yeah. It's been
a lot has happened in 7 weeks.
Todd and I have not spoken or seen each other on the screen in 7 weeks. We decided, let's not have that conversation before we hit record tonight. Let's just hit record and have that conversation.
Let's do it.
So we're going to do a little catching up with each other because at least what I have to share, I'd like for the listeners to hear. And then we'll get into the focus of tonight's topic.
Awesome. Let us embark.
So when we last left it, you were sharing with me your family's trepidation for making the trip to Mexico. And that was our first missed week. And then the next 2 missed Mondays, I was in Morocco with 24 students and 2 other teachers from my school.
What?
We spent 5 days in the capital city of Rabat, living with host families. So I lived with local Moroccans and ate Moroccan food every day, prepared in the house, in the kitchen by what would be my Moroccan grandmother. Mama Sumia was her name. And we left Rabat after 5 days and went out into the Sahara Desert and literally got out of the van and jumped on camels. And we rode camels for a couple hours through the desert, where we ended up at a permanent campsite. It's kind of like glamping, luxury camping. So my tent, which was a permanent fixture made of steel and tent materials, had a bath and a shower and hot water and electricity and the whole deal. So we lamped and then we rode camels back to the van, back through the desert, where we went through to see a couple more cities and a couple more like adventures and things to do, among them the city of Casablanca. And then we flew home. I got home on a Saturday night and we were all set to record. And Sunday, I went mini golfing with my wife and my daughter, and partway through golfing, I started to feel a pain in my privates and in my side. And as we continued to mini golf, the 18 holes, it just continued to get worse. And by the time we were done golfing, I was convinced that I was the most constipated I'd ever been in my life. Like I had to do a number 2 with everything that I had, but it wouldn't come out. So I said, let's go to the drugstore and get some constipation medication. And partway to the drugstore, I could no longer drive. The pain in my side and my testicles was so bad, I couldn't drive. So my wife asked me if we want to switch. I said, yes, please. So I jumped into the passenger seat, and as she started to drive, it just got worse. And I don't mean to sound too graphic, but it really felt like somebody kicked me in the privates and punched me in the side, all while I had to do the biggest number 1 and number 2 of my life, all at the same time. It was without question the most pain I've ever experienced. So we took a hard left and went to the emergency room where my wife dropped me off. They didn't come and get me for an hour and a half after they put me on the bed. So I would love to have a video of myself rolling around and screaming in pain on that bed. Yeah, going from all fours to standing up and walking in the room to laying on my back. I just couldn't find any comfort anywhere. Super long story short, they put me through a CAT scan and diagnosed me, thankfully not with a tertiated testicle, but with a kidney stone that's 8.5 millimeters in size. And we can talk a little bit more about the science behind what a kidney stone is and what it does. But the focus of our topic tonight is pain. And I was in 9 days of pain. It came in different waves of intensity, but when it hit at its worst, this is not exaggeration, it truly brought me to my knees. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. I just taking deep breaths, and talked to a couple female friends in my life and nurses who had both given birth and passed kidney stones, and all 3 of them said they'd rather give birth again than pass kidney stones.
Wow.
So that's what I've been up to. So because of that, we missed 2 more Mondays because I just wasn't in a space where I could talk. And then from what I understand, Todd, you had the grandchildren come and visit, and the house was not quiet enough to record in. And here we are 7 weeks later. And I know that, speaking of pain, you've had some challenges in your life that I'm excited. I wouldn't say excited is the right word, too, that I'm intrigued to dig into tonight to chat with you about.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what's been going on in my world, in my life. And here I am. I still have the kidney stone in my body, still have not passed. It said it can take up to 6 weeks to pass. If it doesn't pass on its own in 6 weeks, this is the terminology they used at the urologist. We will go in and pull it out. So that's where I am.
Yeah, you don't want any of that. I have some questions because that's what I do. It's going to be rapid fire. You ready? Based on what you just told me.
I'm ready. Go.
Don't you dare click that marker lid either.
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
I've been known to click whiteboard markers while I talk, and it drives Todd crazy.
What is the best food that Mama Samia made authentically?
Oh, man. So I think Morocco is a 30 or 31st country that I visited. This isn't a rapid fire answer. I apologize. I would say that of all the places I visited, Morocco food was probably my favorite.
Whoa.
My favorite cuisine of all the foods I visited. However, I came down with an intense stomach bug that was 24 hours that I blew up Mama Sumia's bathroom.
Yeah.
And my roommate Doug did the same thing. So we lit up her bathroom. And you know, when you get sick, the thing you ate last before you got sick, you have an aversion to. I get sick when I was like 6 or 8 after eating a bag of Skittles, and even now the smell of Skittles makes me ill. So this thing that she made that I would not eat right now, but it was like a combination of like chicken and cinnamon, and it was like a fried bun roll type thing.
Like a dumpling?
Yeah, kind of like a big. It was like dessert and dinner all in one.
Yeah, look at me Americanize the hell out of that,
which is really cool. But all sorts of like different pork dishes and chicken dishes and meat dishes.
Is it spicy?
No, not
like,
spicy.
Not traditionally, like default spice, like in Thailand. It's not like that.
No, it's not like Thai food. No.
Yeah. Okay. No. Thank you for that.
Yep. Yeah. So food was awesome until I got sick. I took a 24-hour reprieve from eating or drinking anything at all, which could have definitely exacerbated the kidney stone.
Yeah. Interesting. Were the camels on the camel ride unhappy?
Probably, yes.
Okay. All right. Did you ride on the desert with a camel with no name?
I did.
You did.
There was 27 of us total, and one student named their camel, and I think the other 26 were riding through a desert on a camel with no name. You kids out there, if you don't know the reference, it's a song. Look it up. That was a good one, Todd.
Thank you. I just scribbled it down. I have one other one, and it's pretty funny, so I'm going to go for it. You can add it out if you want, but what are the chances that while you were playing mini golf, your testicles started on fire? I just thought that was funny.
I am so happy that pain did not arrive while I was either overseas or on the plane.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was an appendicitis. I thought it was something really serious because it came on so fast and so hard. I never experienced anything like that, and I really was genuinely concerned for my health.
Yeah.
Because it hurt. It didn't feel like it was something that was going to pass. Yeah.
Based on your experience in all those other countries, you've likely been to the doctor in one of those countries at least. Would you say that that concern came from, I don't know where I am and I don't know what kind of doctoring I'm going to get? Or do you find that doctors by and large are always there to help people and just be good doctors if you can communicate? Or you can say, I don't know.
Vietnam, the doctor situation was not a comfortable thing. I had to go to the doctor once in Vietnam. We ended up driving 3 hours to the capital city for me to see a doctor that one spoke English and two that we just trusted. And that wasn't my decision. That was the local Vietnamese that I was friends with that said, don't go to the local doctor.
Oh, wow.
Go the 3 hours. And this one was more just, I was just scared. Like I didn't know what to do. And being able to speak to somebody in my language that was in charge of my health is a reassuring thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's all the rapid fire I had. Thank you for the answers.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the camel thing because I rode an elephant in Cambodia, and I vowed to myself that'd be the last time I'd ever ride an elephant because I'd heard about how elephants are treated. These camels seemed to be a very different situation. The camels only did one walk from one place to another, and then they were kind of housed and fed. And
Oh,
from what I
cool.
understand, it was a much more humane
Yeah.
approach than what happens to the elephants in Asia.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I asked because I had some friends that were I can't remember where they went, somewhere with tigers, and they like took pictures with this tiger, and they said when they walked in, it was just like drugged, and it was the most ridiculous thing, and they vowed the same, like I'm never doing that again, like that is so pathetic. So
yeah, I would definitely say that about maybe like going to the circus and see how the animals are treated there, and around the elephant. I didn't feel the same way about the
yeah,
camels in
yeah,
Morocco.
right on. Okay, well, where are you taking us? You had an intro to pain, I heard over there, but you from my side. I got some. Yeah, yeah. What did I do? It's been so long since we talked. You're coming to me on a new laptop. That's different. Haven't had that before. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I can start the questions and set the stage from my end if you'd like,
let's do
if
it.
that's helpful.
Yeah, sure.
So we know that a number of months ago, your father passed,
Yeah.
and then shortly after that, the company that you worked for was starting to do massive layoffs. And each week that we talked before we hit record, you'd share with me that you'd made it another week, but the number of people that you valued that you worked with did not. And you
Yes.
shared some of the insight there. And then midweek, one week I was at school, and I just got a text from you, 2 words. It said laid off.
Dun dun
And
dun.
and we have not recorded since that happened.
Yeah.
And also, since you were laid off and since we were last record, I got correspondence from you sharing with me that your mother had passed.
Yep.
So, with my physical pain and some of the emotional stuff that you must be going through,
There
having
you go.
lost your job and your mom and your father in a very short amount of time, I thought it might be a good segue for us to talk about pain and the role that pain plays in our lives
Mm.
in any way. And I normally do a bunch of research before we record an episode and get a bunch of different thoughts and insights from different sources. And I thought I'd not do that this time and just have a conversation. I did look
Yeah.
up one thing that I do want to share, but other than that, I really didn't do a deep dive. So I just kind of let the cat out of the bag with what's been going on in your life from my view. You can go ahead and elaborate on that. And I just can't imagine where you are emotionally. And to throw more on top of that, 2 days ago was Mother's Day, and you and I shared some correspondence that sounded like you had quite a heavy heart.
Yeah, it's interesting. Thanks for getting such a great segue, I suppose, into what's not very great. It's interesting because it's hard for me to see it in granularity. Like, as so much has happened, I think over that a period of time that either I choose not to remember each piece like in a continuum, or that I've processed through the emotions and just let them wash, and then that's like the natural healing part. So, like, I don't know, it's very odd to think about your perspective that has been a lot, because in my mind I don't see it. I know it's been a lot, like I can tell you it's been a lot, but like I don't see it as like this looming pain cloud. You know what I mean? Or it's like it's not chained to my leg. So it's I don't know where you want to take that, but yeah, I'll go anywhere. But
From a selfish standpoint, I'm relieved to hear you say that, because I
yeah.
feel like I've been carrying a burden for you from
Oh,
afar,
thanks. Yeah.
and I haven't really had the opportunity to talk to you and see you on the screen like I normally do on a week to week basis. And
Yeah.
it just so happened that the time that we had this big gap, some of these massive changes have happened in your life, and I've been genuinely curious to know where you're at. It's hard to always tell with a tone through text,
Yeah,
but
it is.
yeah, I feel like I've been carrying that burden, and that lightens me a little bit just to hear you say that
Uh,
objectively.
that's awesome. Thank you for that. That's a great amount of empathy and compassion for you to feel that way. And I'm sorry you do feel that way, because I should have cleared that up, or at least tried to. Known you would have done that. But yeah, it's in my mind. I've had people say the same thing, not in each instance, but definitely with the layoff, people were like, they're expecting to find you in turmoil and like amidst chaos and like all these different feelings, and like they say, oh, I couldn't believe it. Like, I don't know how I'd feel if that happened. And I'm like, well, that's all right, because I don't really like, it was time, right? Like, I don't know, I feel like things most of the time happen for a reason, and if the unfortunate part is they happen three at a time, well, three strikes, you're out. But we'll see. Like they say, it happens in threes, and so far that's been pretty close, as far as major ones go. But I don't know if you recall this, like a year ago in July of 2020, two, I basically told myself I've got a year to do something at work that I find interesting, or else I'm going to go find something else. So it was almost I almost view it as a forcing function in some ways. That like, oh, it might have been before the year, but maybe this is your time. And have you really been doing what you say you've been doing? So now it's time to fall back on that. So in a way, losing my job, obviously, it's very surreal. Like now I look at my email, there's 10 messages, thousands a day, and it's just like unplugging yourself from that, what had become your reality for so long, is a weird thing to unwind and come to terms with the fact that you are not this work that you've been doing for so long. Like like you, for example, I can imagine in your mind you're a teacher, right? But if you were no longer a teacher, then what does that canvas allow you to look at, right? So there's that. And with my parents, like we'd been building up to my dad, or to my mom dying for a long time. We prepared for it. We were caregivers. We did that. I did a couple episodes from there, remote from Squim, but we didn't expect my dad to die first. But I knew that he was going to just make sure that everything was fine with my mom, and in his mind, he just unplugged, and that's exactly what happened. So, like, I knew from watching my grandpa die, and I knew from watching other males, of his kind. Actually, just most of the males in my life, when they die, they just realize it's time to go, and there's no sense in languishing. So I'm just gonna exit the door. With my mom, it was a slow degrade over years, but the last 6 or 8 months, I would say, were the most poignant for me, because I had an opportunity to like rekindle the relationship that I had bruised and damaged throughout my life. And so I feel like I maybe experienced her death more of the typical way that other people grieve. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's a typical way that people grieve, but when I think about people saying, I don't know what I would do in your situation, or that would be so hard, I think to myself, that's more hard, having watched that and having, replanted those seeds, and then having it, you know, taken aback, or just slowly, disappeared. I think that was the worst part. But yeah, it's all been heavy, but, life's that way sometimes.
It seemed to me from the outside looking in that you, after your father passed and you had to put your mom in a home and things were changing in that respect, that you made an effort to connect with your mom, in that you knew that time was limited.
Yeah. Well, we
And
had known that for years. I remember one time, a very long time ago, writing her, or asking her to like write down like what she thought of parenting, like leave me some nuggets, because she knew she had Parkinson's. I was like, before your gears slip, like, would you write that down for me? And she never did. Well, I didn't find it yet, anyways, but I don't think it exists. But so it was trying to like reclaim pieces of what I thought I had lost, or what I thought we could have done together with the limited capacity she had left, to try to make that as best it could be. But yeah.
and you shared videos and pictures with me, and I'm grateful for your letting me in on that, of things that you're doing with her, rehab, throwing and catching a ball, and working on neuromuscular stuff, and different things, and ways that you were connecting with her in a way that you could connect with her in the last months. And it just seemed to me that, again, and correct me if I'm wrong, Todd, but from the outside looking in, it seemed to me like you didn't feel that things were settled or things were right at that time, and you put an effort and attention into doing everything that was in your power in those last bunch of months to have closure, to see to set things right before it was too late. Do you feel you were successful in doing that?
Um, yeah, I think so. I think overall, I mean, I could never truly know, but I think that's that's one of the conundrums of life, right? When you look back and you think, "Oh, did I do everything I could have?" Maybe the answer is no, maybe the answer is yes, but I mean, how will you ever really know? So, I feel for my side of it, it was a good attempt, way too late, but what can you do?
And just thinking about the physical pain that I went through with the kidney stone and the emotional pain that you were going through, I just thought it would be really interesting to talk tonight about, like, what is the role of pain in our life, be it emotional or physical. And because I can say without a doubt that those 9 days that I had of pain were definitely the most painful of my life. And like I said, I can get into kind of the science behind what happens when you actually have a kidney stone, because I didn't know anything about it before I
Oh,
was diagnosed with it, and now I've learned quite a bit. And in preparation for tonight's conversation, I just looked up the benefits of pain, and I think this really encapsulates some of the emotional stuff that you've been dealing with and the physical stuff that I've been dealing with. But it says pain is part of the body's ability to defend itself and promote its own survival. This is its fundamental evolutionary function. This normal expression of pain is not limited to what is considered useful because it alerts us to the initiation of illness or discomfort. And then I also found something in that quick search, 14 benefits of pain. So I'm just going to kind of read through those. And I guess what I'd like you to do is listen to them and see where and if any of these apply to the emotional pain that you've been struggling with during this time of life change for you and loss, and how any of these might be applicable to what you're facing right now.
Hit me. Read them with numbers, would you? So I can write them down.
Okay. Number 1, the theme of our podcast, struggle is necessary to produce strength. Number 2, pain can be a warning to us that something is not right. 3, pain provides an impetus to learn, grow, and improve our thoughts and our skills. 4, pain builds stamina, which carries us through future tough times and reminds us that we can and will survive. 5, pain reminds us to avoid and to not participate in unhealthy or quote-unquote bad behaviors. Number 6, pain can bring positive change. 7, pain reminds us that we need help and we need to surround us with people who can make a helpful and supportive team. 8, pain can bring clarity. 9, pain gives us wisdom because it is often best understood when we look backwards. 10, pain brings us together because it is part of everyone's story. No one is immune to pain. 11, pain has the ability to increase our capacity for patience. 12, pain gives us a greater appreciation for the positive attributes and relationships in our life. 13, pain will one day allow you to comfort others with similar experiences. And 14, pain gives us a balance and reminds us of what is most important in life. How was that for a lot of writing?
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty good. I didn't write just numbers, but that's okay. I found that 2, 5, 9, and 11 were very interesting to me in the emotional pain section.
2, pain can be a warning to us that something is not right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think that's depends like, especially I was putting in the contrast of life and death, like human life and death, but I guess that doesn't really fit there. I mean, something's wrong, obviously, but I don't know. It doesn't really alert you.
What I was thinking, and you've shared this multiple times as a theme throughout multiple episodes in this podcast, you've shared that a sign that you need to face something or face it head on or dig into it is that discomfort or maybe even that level of pain. And I guess the question is, where's the line there?
Right.
Where is the pain warning us, hey, this is something we need to stay away from, versus this is something we need to go head first into? Yeah. I think that's an interesting thing. And, the body is such an amazing machine and it's such a complex mechanism. It blows me away. But to think with the role that pain plays in the physical, and you hear, I've heard about, people who were born without the ability to experience pain. So someone in that regard could not know that they're leaning up against a hot stove and could light their back on fire and not even know because they couldn't feel it. Or, they get something in their eye and their eye feels a little itchy and they keep rubbing their eye until they're blind with, something in their eye. And these types of things can happen. So in a way, pain is such a helpful, positive way for us to continue to survive and thrive. Yeah. And it's such an interesting paradigm on pain that we don't often take a moment to think about. So I was thinking about my physical pain and how I can benefit from it, how I can learn from it. One of the last ones there about going through pain gives us the opportunity to relate to others in the future. As a trainer, that's been super helpful for me. I've had mountains of shoulder, calf, groin, wrist, hip, ankle injuries. And now when my students come to me and have ailments in any of those regards, I can speak to what I've learned on, and it has nothing to do with a book or a video that I've watched, but the fact that I've experienced it. And that's a really helpful one for me.
Yeah. The wisdom. What's number 5?
Number 5 is pain reminds us to avoid and not participate in unhealthy or bad behaviors.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see how they definitely would apply too.
The emotional pain kind of rang through with me on 10. Pain brings us together because it's a part of everyone's story and nobody is immune. I think we feel connected with other people in ways that we might not otherwise if pain didn't exist.
Absolutely.
The group of kids that we brought to Morocco is very fair for me to say that they're not all friends when we embarked on the trip. And in fact, some might have even had some disdain for each other. And that was, at least from my opinion, more of not knowing who those people were, but rather those were people that were constituents of groups that others
Yeah.
were unfamiliar with. And then once they got to know each other as humans, they really got to see that those people weren't just representations of groups that they were not familiar with. And I think when I got the stomach bug, half of the group got the stomach bug as well. So we were all on planes, trains, and automobiles with the stomach bug, throwing up in the bags and the whole deal.
Nice.
And that really, really galvanized the group and brought people together. The kids that didn't get it were taking care of the kids that were sick, and the kids that were sick were able to relate with one another, even though they didn't like one another. And by the end of the trip, they share with us how much they'd grown, and how they didn't say how much they'd grown, but through their shares, I was able to see
Yeah.
how much they'd grown and how accepting they were of the other kids on the group, people that they thought they didn't like, and now they connected with through a shared adverse experience, as simple as the stomach bug.
Empathy and compassion, right? I mean, that's it. Yeah. I feel your pain. That doesn't come from nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And it's relatable too. Like, like I know what it feels like to puke my brains out. That is not fun. Let me help you with that. Like, you know,
Puking your brains out in someone else's bathroom too is
no
just
good. No
not
good.
that great.
No, no. I'm not a big fan of puking overall. It's just so fun.
Can I ask you?
Anything.
That's what I love about you. You're the best co-host I could ask for.
You
Can you
can beat
walk
me
me?
up. Go ahead. Go beat me up.
This has never happened to me, and I'm curious to know the thought process that went into it
Mhm.
when it happened to you. Can you walk me through the process of getting laid off after being at a company for 20 plus years? No,
I can paint the picture, and then
no,
I
no
can.
detail is too small. Like
Yeah.
the
Here's
time that
the.
something happened, what you were wearing when
Well,
it happened,
I don't know all
anything.
those. I don't know those tiny details, but I'll do the best I can. So, in every morning since these layoffs started, I get up and especially Monday mornings, I get up and I say, "Well, what are we doing this week?" Right? Jocelyn manages this massive calendar,
How long
and
have the layoffs been going on?
they've been happening since I don't even know, months. Like this has been going on
Okay,
for like
months.
5 6 months, and so like there's a culmination of why I feel this way, but it doesn't really matter because every week I would get up, Jocelyn takes care of the calendar. I'd be like, "Hey, what's going on this week?" And she would ask me the same question. I'm like, "I don't know, the regular stuff." And I would wander out to the to my office and I would say, let me check my email, make sure I make let me check my email and make sure I still have a job." And like it was just in jest, like ha ha ha, right? Because all my friends, go ahead.
Was it the same day of the week that they laid everybody off? Like the layoffs always happen on a
No,
Monday? Okay,
no, but
okay.
it was just like, let me look because it's going to be
Yeah.
funny, right? And so, as these waves of layoffs had been going, it had been weeks, it had been months in advance, and nobody knows when they're coming. Nobody knows who they're going to hit, and it was just like this mystery that was building. And you'd see a couple people, and they'd be like, "Man, that sucks!" Like I couldn't believe those people. And then you see some more people over here, and you're just like, "What?" Same thing. So
So when you see someone get laid off, you work from home? What does it look like? Is it like an email that they send you, like, "Hey, everyone,
yeah,
I'm laid off," or does the
yeah.
company send a list of everyone that they laid
No,
off?
no,
Like,
no. It'll just be you get contacted by random individuals that you haven't maybe
okay,
you talked to them for yesterday, maybe you haven't talked to them for a while, and they're like, "Hey, usually it was based in gratitude, which was really cool. Like, hey, I just wanted
okay,
to let you know I'm leaving the company, but because you're receiving this message, blah blah blah." I was like, "Yeah, that's really cool."
and
So
those were
like,
like mass emails that they send to like 50 people that had a
I,
positive impact on them while
it
they were at the
depends.
company or
Yeah,
whatever.
sure,
Okay,
whatever. Yeah,
okay,
but and then you'd
okay,
also see on LinkedIn there'd be posts like, "Oh, I'm looking for work now because now I don't have a job," right? Blah blah blah.
gotcha.
So
Okay,
between those two, that's how I did. Some people will call or text, and I was like, "I can't believe this," but otherwise that was it. And so Jocelyn was sitting in the chair, this rocking chair, which she always does, and her mom happened to be visiting, and she was behind me playing with the dogs or something. And I said, "Oh, I won the lottery." And they said, "What?" I was like, "It looks like I don't have to go to work anymore." And it was just like so matter of fact, it came out of my mouth, like, "Oh, there's the message." And I remember feeling because they like send out some form message at the corporate level, right? Like it wasn't all for those who follow the tech industry, it was nothing like they espouse, like or like they say it went. Like it was, you got a secret meeting that came in your, to your inbox, a meeting request, and it said, very urgent, is from somebody, way high up in the stack, the management that you never get a message from typically, and you need to be here at this meeting, a Teams meeting. There's a link, right? And so I'm just like, wow, like, because other people reported, here's how it happened, right? And so I was like,
So you
oh,
got
well,
the email that you had to be at this meeting, and
I
you
got the
knew
lottery
exactly what that
ticket. Oh
meant.
yeah, guaranteed.
Yep.
So I can't
Yep.
say that my heart didn't drop, but at the same point, I was kind of like, what are you going to do? I mean, you have to accept what's happened. There's no way you're going to fight this juggernaut. Even if you did, it doesn't really matter because you don't have a job. Like there's thousands, tens of thousands of people losing their job. Like just swallow it and go, right? And so I let that sink in for a minute, and Jocelyn was not. She was not excited. Like I could say with certainty she was concerned, and her concern rippled through her mother because they're basically the same fabric. And then it was just quiet in the living room, and I was just like, or in my office, and it was just at that point I was like, well, I guess I have to start checking the list for what I need to do to get out of here and what that's going to look like. So that's how that happened.
So then you go to that Teams meeting, and
Yep.
is it a one-on-one video chat with another person?
So there was two other people that I knew. So there was three employees, three individuals, and then there's an HR benefits partner liaison for HR, and then there's the manager that's delivering the news. At this point, it's so scripted that it's embarrassing, right? So I had just happened to know the HR lady. I worked with her a long time ago, and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" She's like, "We're not having a conversation like that." It's like, "Oh, really?" Like, I get to say hello. She's like, "That's what we're here for." I was like, "Oh man!" So they're getting
Huh.
everything set, and then the manager comes on, and he's just like monotone, staring at you. Blah 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 blah. Your role has been eliminated. Blah, just like a robot. And I was like, "Wow." And then the HR benefits partner comes back on and says, "We're going to send you a packet. Here's all the things you need to know immediately. Blah blah blah. Here's the mechanics of it. If you have any questions, ask, send mail to this place." And it was fun working with you. See you later. And I was like, wow. And so then begins the process of, like I was talking about earlier, unwinding all those things. But that's a different story. But that's how it hit. And then I had thought about getting fired at work. Over the years, there's been multiple what they call reorgs, where this team will get lost or whatever, or you're redundant, so you're going to go somewhere else. But it was never like like looming in the shadows. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's been months. Like, I've seen some really cool people lose their jobs. I wonder if I'll be next. And then it echoes. I wonder if I'll be next. I wonder when I'll be next. And then before you know it, then it happens, and it's just like, huh, I guess it's me. So yeah.
So then you get off the meeting with those people, and are you done working for the day? Like, are you done working for good at
I'm
that
done working
moment?
for good. Yeah. They're like,
Like
from this
at
point
that moment,
forward,
they're like, you're not lifting a finger for this company
yeah,
after this meeting. You're
from
done.
this point forward, you're not expected to work on any of the commitments you're working on, but you only have 2 weeks of access to the corporate network to get all of the things you might need. And here is a
Okay.
very long list of things you should be doing. And it's like, I mean, that list will keep you busy for a week and a half easily, right? That's not to mention like, oh, I should be keeping things that I've been stashing over here for 20 years that I forgot about. Because, it's kind of like living in a house, living in, an environment, or, an environment of technology. You have files over here, folders over here. And at some point, when you work somewhere long enough, they become intermingled. And before you know it, you forgot that
Yeah.
you put some of your tax documents on a drive that's not going to be there in a week and a half. And I hope I don't
Uh,
forget it. So then it's like a frantic rush to keep you busy to figure out all the things. Whereas my health insurance going to go, what do I have to do for my taxes? Like all these things pop up that you never have to do. Meanwhile, this was actually kind of weird. All of the people that you've talked to there's an outpouring of empathy and compassion. Again, strange, this keeps coming up, and like all of this flood of emotions that underlies the fact that in a couple of weeks you won't be doing what you've been doing for so long. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And like the
Yeah.
people are like your chunk of California has broken off, and you're going that way, and everybody else is staying on the land, and what are you gonna do about it? So yeah, so that began that process, and that whole process will end on the 27th of this month. So I have 10 more days. Like I'll get one more paycheck, and then that'll be the end. I imagine it's some point in time at the somewhere in June 1st, I'll be thinking to myself, wow, like the wave has passed. That ship has sailed, and that's just done. So move along.
I'm trying to put myself or my mind in that position. And
Well, if you went to work tomorrow and they met you at the front door and said, Peter, you don't have a job in a week, go get all your things and tell everybody you love and have had fun with for the last 15 years, goodbye, and good luck with that. See you later. That's how you
yeah,
feel.
I'm just thinking the confluence of emotion, of all the emotional stuff of leaving a place that I might still want to be, of trying to figure out how I'm going to provide for my family starting tomorrow. And I have to do all this logistical stuff that is still tied to my work in order to keep my head above water in certain areas of my life. Like that is a confluence of a
Yeah.
lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big, yeah, it's going to be a big river downstream, so, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, there's nothing you're going to do to alleviate it. So I just chose to accept it and move along in a path that's going to set me up for the greatest amount of success after I get through the storm. So, I mean, there's no sense turning around into the thunderhead. You might as well just keep on driving and get out of there. So
Yeah.
that's how I looked at it. I don't know if that was that was a mechanism of the pain, or if that was just like, what I've learned through,
So have you
time.
started that process of seeking a new position somewhere or
I
career? Or
mean,
are you still in the
well,
digging out process from the old?
kind of both. Like I'm open to
Yeah.
whatever, but I'm not forcing it to come. So I mean, with a tenure of over 20 years at a huge corporate giant, you're going to get a pretty good severance package, and you get
Okay.
benefits for a while and all this stuff. So it's not like I'm in red alert, and like I've been saving,
Okay.
like we talked about savings. Like I've been saving, all this, stashing all this money away, and I've had a lot of privilege and a lot of benefits working there. So I think that lessens the blow. Is like,
So there is,
also like all the kids are moved out. Like I don't really have to. I used to joke with my friend, like all I have to do is like a couple more years until the kids move out, and then I don't really need all this. And it's like there's a culmination and like a stewing pot of all these different inputs that, if it's somebody else, like somebody, you know younger than me, or somebody in a different role in their position, or whatever, like it might be more, I don't know, you know what I mean, like they might actually be lost, like it might be more overwhelming, but to me I'm okay with it. So
is there anything that you've decided to or had to give up that was once a comfort of yours, that anything that's changed yet, or your safety net with the severance package is enough where you're feeling like you don't need to go there yet?
no, it'll be cool. I definitely trim things down, like subscriptions I have, Netflix, things that are overlap that I like. My kid has one, so why the hell am I paying for it? At the same time,
Yep.
I definitely pared down. I have a lot of automobiles, so I went there and just figured out I'll garage all the ones that are unnecessary that I don't need, so I save a bunch of money on things like that. But um, I'm not to the point where it's red alert. Jocelyn picked up more hours at her job, so she can do that, and then um, but having her support actually has been like, once we talked through it and I was like, well, there's nothing we're going to do. She's just like, well, I mean, we'll make it work. Like whatever we always have. So, I mean, and that I was going to point that out earlier. It's been a very, what's the word? Cathartic, that once it was out, it didn't have to be like this big, the cat's out of the bag, you're a
Yeah.
failure, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, this is something that happened. We're going to, deal with it. But on the other side of that was like, thank God I don't have to worry about that anymore. It's happened and it's done. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So I think it was number 12 on that list that said pain gives us a greater appreciation for positive relationships. So I'm hearing you say that about your relationship with
absolutely.
your wife.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I think it was the last one, 14, pain gives us a balance and reminds us of what is really important. And I'm
Absolutely.
guessing that cathartic piece for you is part that
Yeah.
is part of that process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should be a teacher. You map things to subjects really well. Yeah.
With my physical pain, man, I'm so blessed. Like I'm so grateful. The doctor said, "Look, bro, like you just need to drink a ton of water and keep moving. Like if you lay down for vast periods of time, this thing's not going to move along. So the more you're moving, the better." But
Get some water, do
obviously,
some
the
jumping
irony
jacks.
is moving hurt.
Yeah.
Moving hurt. But I decided I'm going to go to school with this. I'm going to be totally transparent with my kids, and I'm going to tell them what's going on. Like
Good.
I couldn't even pretend to like fake it, like because I wouldn't be myself. And I borderline TMI on the science end. I just broke it down and shared with all my classes what a kidney stone is, what happens when you have a kidney stone, and all these things. And the kids have really they've learned quite a bit. And the real funny part is I just finished my unit on hydration, and I give my top 10 reasons why we should stay hydrated. And one of those is to prevent the development of kidney stones in
There
our
you go.
body. And I used to say to them when I was teaching that unit, I haven't had them, but I've heard that kidney stones are some of the most painful things you could ever experience. And now I can
You got the
say that.
experience.
But each day I come into school, and a large majority of people that really care about me would come up to me and say, "Hey, did you pass a kidney stone? How are you feeling?" And I was answering that question literally hundreds of times a day. So I decided I'm just going to stop shaving, and that's going to be my sign that I still have the kidney stone in my body. And when I come into school
Nice.
cleanly shaved, you've known that the kidney stone is passed.
That's
So
brilliant.
as I'm talking to you right now, I'm 3.5 or 4 weeks into the growth of a beard that I haven't had a beard this long since I was a
Fantastic,
fisherman.
by the way.
Since I was a fisherman in Alaska. Thanks. You know what I had a student say to me today?
No.
I was playing an 80s playlist and the summer of 69 came on and I was just singing it out loud. And I had a student come and go, Mr. D, you don't know anything about that. You weren't around in 69. I said, no, but I was in 78. And he stopped and he goes, did that make you almost 45? I go, yeah, I'm 44. I'll be 45 in 2 months. And he goes, oh my gosh, I never, ever would have thought you were that old. I just thought you were young and really stressed out.
That's great.
He
You
was
tell
talking
that's
about
the
my,
gray section
yeah,
there,
yeah,
but
exactly. He
yeah,
was
yeah,
referring
yeah.
to the gray in my beard. Yeah. So I
Nice.
thought that was a riot. Um, but what the pain was just a clear reminder for me. It's how rock solid of a wife I have. I
Yeah.
mean, I was literally an absent parent for 9 days. I went to school as I could, and I just come home and I was just done. Like it was so much physical and mental energy during
Mm.
my prep. I'd go take a nap in my office. I got excused from certain meetings and stuff that I just like the pain in my privates and my side was so bad. It would make other people uncomfortable seeing me,
Yeah.
in that space because I couldn't sit. Like sitting it was either laying down or standing up.
Yeah, right.
And so I couldn't like lay down in a meeting. And if I'm standing up, I'm like pacing around the room while everyone's sitting down. So,
Man.
but it really made me realize how many people in my school community value me,
Yeah.
and it just made me feel so loved. And I think the human condition is that we all want to be noticed and enjoyed. And in a way, this extreme pain really made me feel
Huh.
noticed and enjoyed. And it really was just a nice reminder of how amazing my wife is. It was a nice reminder of how blessed and privileged I am to have access to this healthcare.
Yeah.
I live way up here in what a lot of my Massachusetts friends call the boondocks, Vermont, but we have a world-class health facility because I live 20 minutes from Dartmouth, and Dartmouth has an amazing hospital up here. And they're short staffed and it's hard to get appointments, but like I'm taken care of. I'm taken care of emotionally. I'm taken care of physically. And I'm just incredibly grateful. And when and if I'm getting back to normal life, I'll just have a higher appreciation for going on hikes, getting through my day pain free, doing CrossFit workouts again.
Drinking
And I
water.
just think, yeah. So I think there's so much to begin. And even when I was in my darkest moments of pain, I just thought to myself, like, I have so much to be grateful for. Like, this is a really, really cool thing. I'm grateful that my body's telling me I'm hurt so that I can take care of it, so that I don't have any long-term, ramifications from it. But I just think that we have so much to gain from pain. That rhymes. And it's not easy to remind ourselves of that, and especially when they're in the thick of it. And that's what I worked on over the course of this. I'm going on 3 weeks, but it was really 9 days. The way the kidney stones work is they develop in the kidney, and then you have a tube that goes from your kidney to your bladder called your ureter. And your ureter is a small tube and it gets a little bit bigger toward the bottom. So as the kidney stone works its way through the small part of the ureter, it's really god awful pain. And then as it moves its way to the bigger part of the ureter, it's less pain. And then when it drops into the bladder, less pain. And then the pain coming out of the urinary tract depends on how sharp and jagged the kidney stone is. And I have yet to experience that. So I'm awaiting that excitement. But I just have been so grateful. Like my administration and my colleagues are so supportive. My students are so supportive. I would see parents of my students in town, like the grocery store, they'd come up to me and say, my son or my daughter told me what you're dealing with. I'm so sorry. I want to check in and see how you're doing. Like
Nice.
These periphery people who I didn't even think their thoughts were on me
Ever.
cared about me and showed me love. And physical pain I can deal with. Knowing that I'm loved is the best thing in the world.
That's awesome.
So it's been really special for me.
I mean, it's a testament.
My daughter wrote me so many beautiful little cards and notes that I had hanging up all around my bed. And it was great. And my buddies that felt bad for me gave me all their logins to all HBO Max and Netflix and Disney. And I watched one documentary after another. It was amazing.
Nice work.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, kidney stones suck. Yeah, I had 2. I remember waking up and thinking something is wrong. I was just profusely sweating, and I was like, "Wow!" And I went and laid on the couch, and there was no position that offered any comfort, like zero. And I'm
nothing.
And then by the time I figured out that I'd been constantly writhing around for like 4 hours to not wake anybody up, I realized I should have already had something done about this. Morphine never sounded so good in my life. I was just like,
yes,
like the amount of relief that gives you is profound. I was just like,
Yes.
wow, like where'd that pain go all of a sudden?
Yeah.
And they lay you in a bed of water and they shoot ultrasonic waves through it, and it just busts up the hardness of the calcium of the, or whatever the content is. And in my case, it broke it into 3. So I got to experience 3 fun days, three fun passes of smaller, but it was no good. And then only to find that the last one I got stuck in, so I had to go do it again. So yeah, and that's the aftermath of that is a whole other story we can have some other day. But
I've fallen through ice up to my waist, and I've swam in really, really cold water, and I've snowboarded on really, really cold, windy, wet days, and all sorts of different things. And I've been cold in my life. I'm pretty certain that I've never experienced hypothermia, but I've shivered. And I woke up in the middle of one of those nights, and my arms and my legs and my head and my lips and my teeth were chattering. My body was moving uncontrollably. Like I had no control. I was shivering so hard. And I went, when I'm sick, I sleep in the spare bedroom so Jen can sleep. And I went into the bedroom. I said to her, I'm driving myself to the ER. So I checked in, and it was the most pain I've ever been in my life. And I checked in, and I was just shivering, and I waited and waited and waited. And by that time, the wave passed. So I went back to the desk and I said, all right, I'm going to check myself out. And I drove home, and I learned, I was early on in the thing, but I learned that the waves would come for like 20 minutes to an hour, like the real intense stuff. But that level of shivering and lack of control of my body was really something I never experienced. It was crazy. So it wasn't just the pain in my side and in my testicles. It was so much more than that.
Yeah, like all the little lessons sprinkled in there, right? Like, here's coming 20 minutes. Oh, that's fun.
But if there's any tactical takeaway from this for me, at least I'm going to speak about the physical pain, and then you can talk about the emotional pain as we wrap this up, is do we have the mental fortitude, or do we have the mindset, or do I have the mental fortitude or mindset in the worst moment, and what I'm referring to as the worst moment is my highest level of physical pain, to say to myself, I can gain something from this, I can learn something from this, I can take away something from this. What is it? And then to seek that out in the moment. And that's hard to do, but it's possible. And I was able to do it for parts of it, not all of it. And it just gave me reassurance that next time I'm in some sort of level of pain, I can seek to learn rather than just seek to endure.
Yeah, but it's also okay to give yourself a little slack if you don't know, if you have no way to anticipate what's coming. So like, it's interesting, like emotional pain to me, although it's always at the fringe and like you can always kind of expect it, is something that each situation is so unique that you can't learn something from wholesale, right? Like oh, kidney pain. Oh, okay, what do we got here? Like this is very specific, right? But if you think about a person or a life or a thing, it's so abstract that there's so many different things you don't realize that those things are there until they hit you, and so it's almost like it's spread out a little bit more, and just give yourself some grace to like know that those things will keep coming, and it will add to you if you have that mindset that you spoke about. But this too shall pass. Like it's going to go by.
I always look forward to talking to you about this stuff.
Same.
I've missed you, bro. It's nice to get back together.
Yeah, for real. We should do this every week.
I admire your strength.
Same to you.
Good stuff. All right. With all that said, all that painful talk, to all the listeners out
What
there.
A pain.
What a pain.
Yeah.
We appreciate your ears. We thank you for your time. We are incredibly grateful for your attention. We are the Schooling Struggle Podcast. We are out.
See ya.